Wonderful. Welcome everyone to our great histories and personalities from Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we welcome Gayatri Babu again to guide us through this wonderful history of Lord Matsya, the fish avatar of Lord Krishna. So over to you, Gayatri Babu.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So nice to see you tonight. I
Hare
hope everybody.
Krishna.
Yeah, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Haribol. Hope everybody is well tonight. So glad you're all here. Tonight we're in the eighth canto, chapter 24, the story of the fish incarnation of God, Matsya. So this will be very, very interesting read. I think everybody will enjoy very, very much. So, as you know, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of the Vedic literature, and because it talks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Lord's multifarious incarnations. Each incarnation is taken in a different form for a different purpose, and the outcomes are beyond ingenious, beyond miraculous, and beyond anything we can actually fathom. The mind of the Lord is so brilliant and intelligent that everyone is served, everyone is satisfied, everyone is relieved of their karmic reactions, everyone is given great benediction when he appears. So these series of the avatars talk about all of those various incarnations. So tonight we'll start with the eighth canto, chapter 24 on Matsya, but first, pranams. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurivani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachare Shatarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adigoda Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, here we go. So, text one. Maharaj Pariksit said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is eternally situated in his transcendental position. Yet he descends to this material world and manifests himself in various incarnations. His first incarnation was that of a great fish. O most powerful Sukadeva Goswami, I wish to hear from you the pastimes of that fish incarnation. What was the purpose for which the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepted the abominable form of a fish, exactly as an ordinary living being accepts different forms under the laws of karma? The form of a fish is certainly condemned and full of terrible pain. Oh, my Lord, what was the purpose of this incarnation? Kindly explain this to us, for hearing about the pastimes of the Lord is auspicious for everyone. Suta Goswami said, when Parikshit Maharaj thus inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, that most powerful saintly person began describing the pastimes of the Lord's incarnation as a fish. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. Like the air passing through different types of atmosphere, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although appearing sometimes as a human being, and sometimes as a lower animal, is always transcendental because he is above the material modes of nature. He is unaffected by the higher and the lower forms. O King Pariksit, at the end of the past millennium, at the end of Brahma's day, because Lord Brahma sleeps during the night, annihilation took place, and the three worlds were covered by the water of the ocean. At the end of Brahma's day, when Brahma felt sleepy and desired to lie down, the Vedas were emanating from his mouth, and the great demon Hayagriva stole the Vedic knowledge. Anybody want to pick it up there? This is a shorter chapter, so everybody take 5 or 10 verses, whatever you like.
I can read some. I figured out how to make the microphone
Very
work.
nice. About time. We've missed you the last 2 times.
Hare Krishna. So this is text 9. Understanding the acts of the great demon. Sorry. Hare Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hari, who is full of all opulences, assumed the form of a fish and saved the Vedas by killing the demon. During the Chakshushna Manvantara, there was a great king named Satyavrata, who was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Satyavrata performed austerities by subsisting only on water. In the present millennium, King Satyavrata later became the son of Vivasvan, the king of the sun planet, and was known as Shraddhadev. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was given the post of Manu. One day, while King Satyavrata was performing austerities by offering water on the bank of the river Kritamala, a small fish appeared in the water in his palms. Satyavrata, the king of Dravida Desh, threw the fish into the water of the river along with the water in his palm. O King Parikshit, descendant of Bharat. With an appealing voice, the poor small fish said to King Satyavrata, who was very merciful, "My dear king, protector of the poor, why are you throwing me in the water of the river where there are other aquatics who can kill me? I am very much afraid of them." So that was about 5. I can stop there so everybody gets a chance to read.
Okay. Thank you. Who wants to go next? I see Jai Krishna was here. He likes to read. Where's he at? Did he drop off?
I'm in Dominican Republic.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me clear? Because I'm hearing echoing from everybody else.
No, we hear you clear.
Hello?
We hear
Okay,
you.
because the Prabhu, it was just a big echo. I didn't want to read, and mine was echoed also. Okay. To please himself, King Satyavrata, not knowing that the fish was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, decided with great pleasure to give the fish protection. The merciful king, being moved by the pitiable words of the fish, placed the fish in a water jug and brought him to his own residence. But in one night that the fish grew so much that he could not move his body comfortably in the water of the pot, he then spoke to the king as follows. "Oh, my dear king, I do not like living in this water pot with such great difficulty. Therefore, please find some better reservoir of water where I can live comfortably." Sounds like the story of my life. Then taking the fish out of the water pot, the king threw him in a large well. But within a moment, the fish developed a length of 3 cubits. The fish then said, "My dear king, the reservoir of the water is not fit for my happy residence." Oh, this is me. "Please give me some more extensive pool of water, for I have taken shelter of you." Oh, Maharaj Pariksit, the king took the fish from the well and threw him in a lake. But the fish then assumed a gigantic form, exceeding the extent of the water. The fish then said, "O king, I am a large aquatic, and this water is not at all suitable for me. Now kindly find some way to save me. It would be better to put me in the water of a lake that will never reduce." When thus requested, King Satyavrata took the king to the largest reservoir of water. But when that also provided insufficient, the king at last threw the gigantic fish into the ocean. While being thrown in the ocean, the fish said to King Satyavrata, "O hero in this water, there are very powerful and dangerous sharks that will eat me. Therefore, you should not throw me in this place." I'll stop there if it's a short verses.
Thank you. That sounded great. Who else? Vamsi? Vamsi, you're not coming through. You have to unmute.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry about that. Text 25.
After hearing these sweet words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of a fish, the king, being bewildered, asked him, "Who are you, sir? You simply bewilder us." "My lord, in one day you have expanded yourself for hundreds of miles, covering the water of the river and the ocean. Before this, I had never seen or heard of such an aquatic animal. My lord, you're certainly the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, Sri Hari. It is to show your mercy to the living entities that you have now assumed the form of an aquatic. O my Lord, Master of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, O best of enjoyers, Lord Vishnu, you are the leader and the destination of surrendered devotees like us. Therefore, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. All your pastimes and incarnations certainly appear for the welfare of all living entities. Therefore, my Lord, I wish to know the purpose of which you have assumed this form of a fish. O my Lord, possessing eyes like the petals of a lotus, the worship of the demigods, who are in the bodily concept of life, is fruitless in all respects. But because you are the supreme friend and dearmost super soul of everyone, worship of your lotus feet is never useless. You have therefore manifested your form as a fish. Hare Krishna.
All right. Does anybody else want to pick up where Vamsi left off? Seema, you there? Can you do? Okay, we're leaving it open so people can
I'll
grab some.
take some then.
Thank you.
I'll take some until
Step up, everybody. Yeah, come on.
Okay. Sukadev Goswami said, when King Satyavrata spoke in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who at the end of the Yuga had assumed the form of a fish to benefit his devotee and enjoy his pastimes in the water of inundation, responded as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O King, who can subdue your enemies on the seventh day from today? The three worlds, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, and Swaha, will all merge into the water of inundation. When all the three worlds merge into the water, a large boat sent by me will appear before you. Thereafter, O king, you shall collect all types of herbs and seeds and load them on that great boat. Then, accompanied by the seven rishis and surrounded by all kinds of living entities, you shall get aboard that boat and travel and without moroseness you shall easily travel with your companions on the ocean of inundation, the only illumination being the effulgence of the great rishis. Then, as the boat is tossed about by the powerful winds, attach the vessel to my horn by means of the great serpent Vasuki, for I shall be present by your side. Pulling the boat with you and all the rishis in it, O king, I shall travel in the water of devastation until the night of Lord Brahma's slumber is over. Long time. You will be thoroughly advised and favored by me, and because of your inquiries, everything about my glories, which are known as Param Brahman, will be manifest within your heart. Thus you will know everything about me. After thus instructing the king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead immediately disappeared. Then King Satyavrata began to wait for that time of which the Lord had instructed. Does someone else want to pick that up then?
Can I?
Yes, please.
Text 41. After spreading Kusha with his lips pointing east, the saintly king himself facing the northeast sat down on the grass and began to meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who had assumed the form of a fish. Thereafter, gigantic clouds pouring incessant water swelled the ocean more and more. Thus, the ocean began to overflow onto the land and inundate the entire world. As Satyavata remembered the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he saw a boat coming near him. Thus he collected herbs and creepers, and accompanied by saintly Brahmanas, he got aboard the boat. The saintly Brahmanas, being pleased with the king, said to him, "O king, please meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava. He will save us from this impending danger and arrange for our well-being." Then, while the king constantly meditated upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a large golden fish appeared in the ocean of inundation. The fish had one horn and was 8 million miles long. Following the instructions formally given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the king anchored the boat to the fish's horn, using the serpent Vasuki as a rope. Thus, being satisfied, he began offering prayers to the Lord. Is that enough for me? I read 5 of them.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to read some, they can. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Who else has got their reading glasses on? Come on now, step up. We need to hear your beautiful voices. That's what we're here for.
Bhavananda's going to read for a while. I'll just put you. Can you see him?
We don't see Bhavananda, but I think he's floating way too high for us to see.
All right. Here you go.
Well, okay. Anyway, 46. The king said, "By the grace of the Lord, those who have lost their self-knowledge since time immemorial, and who, because of this ignorance, are involved in a material conditioned life full of miseries, obtain the chance to meet the Lord's devotee. I accept that Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Supreme Spiritual Master. In hopes of becoming happy in this material world, the foolish conditioned soul performs fruitive activities that result only in suffering. But by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free of such false desires for happiness. May my supreme spiritual master cut the knot of false desires from the core of my heart. One who wants to be free of material entanglements should take to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give up the contamination of ignorance, involving pious and impious activities. Thus one regains his original identity, just as a block of gold or silver shreds all dirt and becomes purified when treated with fire. May that inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead become our spiritual master, for he is the original spiritual master of all other living spiritual masters. Yeah. Neither all the demigods, nor the so-called gurus, nor all other people neither independently or together, can offer mercy that equals even 1/10,000th of yours. Therefore, I wish to take shelter of your lotus feet. As a blind man being unable to see accepts another blind man as his leader, people who do not know the goal of life accept someone as a guru who is a rascal and a fool. But we are interested in self-realization. Therefore, we accept you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as our spiritual master, for you are able to see in all directions and are omniscient like the sun. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification. And because of such instruments, the foolish disciples continue in the materialistic existence of ignorance. But your lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent people receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. I think that's my 5.
Okay, how many more have we got? We need some more readers.
About 9 more or so.
Okay, we need at least another reader or 2. Who else do we have? Ima who else is here to read? We see Seema's iPhone here.
I can read.
Please
Okay.
read.
Text 52?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the super soul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. O Supreme Lord, for self-realization, I surrender unto you, who are worshipped by the demigods as the supreme controller of everything. By your instructions exposing life's purpose, kindly cut the knot from the core of my heart and let me know the destination of my life. At the end of the last,
Text 55.
text 55. Okay.
54.
The Supreme Person, Sukadev Goswami continued, when Satyavrata had thus prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a fish, the Lord, while moving in the water of inundation, explained to him the absolute truth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead thus explained to King Satyavrata the spiritual science known as Sankhya Yoga, the science by which one distinguishes between matter and spirit. In other words, Bhakti Yoga. Along with the instructions contained in the Puranas, the old history, and the Samhitas, the Lord explained himself in all these literatures. While sitting in the boat, King Satyavrata, accompanied by the great saintly persons, listens to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in regard to self-realization. These instructions were all from the eternal Vedic literature, Brahma. Thus the king and sages had no doubt about the absolute truth. At the end of the last inundation, during the period of Swambhuva Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead killed the demon named Hayagriva and delivered all the Vedic literatures to Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma awakened from sleeping. King Satyavata was illuminated with all Vedic knowledge by the mercy of Lord Vishnu, and in this period he has now taken birth as Vaivashvata Manu, the son of the sun god. This story concerning the great King Satyavrata and the fish incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is a great transcendental narration. Anyone who hears it is delivered from the reactions of sinful life. Hare Krishna.
I think there's one more.
Okay.
There's-
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality
No.
of Godhead. No? No. One who narrates this description of the Matsya incarnation and King Satyavrata will certainly have all his ambitions fulfilled, and he will undoubtedly return home back to Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who pretended to be a gigantic fish, who restored the Vedic literature to Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma awakened from sleep, and who explained the essence of Vedic literature to King Satyavrata and the great saintly persons. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody did a great job tonight. Thank you so much for everybody stepping up to read. We love to hear your voices. That's what we're coming together for. And so very, very nicely done.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So what a wonderful ending to the 8th canto. And now we're going to be starting the 9th canto, which is the pastimes of Lord Ramchandra and Parsuram. And then we go into the beginning of the 10th canto, which is about Krishna. Now, we've been discussing going to the 11th canto and the 12th canto and taking the avatars out of those two first, and then coming back to the 10th canto and just taking our time because there's 80 plus chapters that we want to cover about Krishna's pastimes. So with your permission, I think that's the way we're going to do it. So yeah, so any quick illuminations or questions or anything anybody wants to add first, and then I'll recap, and then we can answer other questions and continue our discussion. Anything up front, anybody?
Yes, can I mention the prayer for Lord Matsya that was written by Jayadev Goswami? And can you hear me?
You are echoing. I think that's what Jai Krishna was talking about.
Ah, okay. How about now?
That's better.
Okay. So the prayer to the Meena incarnation, Matsya incarnation is Pralaya Payodhi Jvale Dhritavan Sivedam Vihita Vahitra Charitram Akhedam Keshavadhrita Meena Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So that's the prayer by Jayadev Goswami to the Lord's incarnation as a fish, Matsya, in this verse mentioned as Meena Sharira, who saved the Vedas from inundation at the end of the Brahma's one day. I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Love that. That's a great way to start this recap, no doubt. Offering our respectful obeisances to Matsya. So I love that. Thank you for that. Any other points or anything anybody wants to get out up front? Or if you want, I'll just start recapping, and then if you want to interject, you're welcome to do it or ask any questions you may have at the end. It's a short night. I think we're going to have a little short night, so it should be plenty of time for anybody to chime in and whenever you want to, okay? So the chapter started out, if you might remember, it says that the Lord manifests in various incarnations. And he does this for the benefit of the world, for the sake of protecting the devotees and annihilating the demons. We know Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in 4:7, Yadahi dharmasha glanir bhavati bharata, abhutanam hi dharmasha tadatmanam srijamyaham. And of course, he goes on to say, Prichanaya sadanam vanashayacha dushkatam, dharma samstapanartaya, sambhavami yuge yuge. So what all that means is, in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the religious principles, I invent myself millennium after millennium. So the Lord is coming again and again and again and again. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time the Lord descends himself. So our study is understanding how he descended himself and what he did during those pastimes. This is a unusual pastime. This is the very first incarnation of record. And if you go back in Srimad Bhagavatam in the last canto, we were studying in the seventh canto in 7.9.37. This is mentioning Hayagriva, but there's two Hayagrivas. So I don't want you guys to be confused, right? There's a demon Hayagriva, and then there's an incarnation of the Lord called Hayagriva. And so it discusses that Hayagriva killed two demons named Madhu and Kataiba when they attacked Lord Brahma. So that's a little different. Just like there are many incarnations of the Supreme Lord, Varaha Murti, the boar form, Kurma Murti, the tortoise form, Hayagriva Murti, the form of a horse. Okay, form of a horse, and so on. And that we should never think that any of these incarnations have anything to do with the material world necessarily. The Lord comes, performs his pastimes, assumes these forms, but he's not affected like ordinary men like we are. We're forced to take a body based on our karma. And it could be one of 8,400,000 species that we could be forced to be born into and suffer and enjoy the fruits of whatever karmic reaction we have created for ourselves, right? So the Lord is never subject to any kind of thing like that. The Lord comes at his own sweet will, and he performs his pastimes for the pleasure. In this case, he was enjoying the water of the ocean of inundation, enjoying in the water. And he came for the sake of protecting his devotees. So he's always transcendental to these things. He never is forced on like we are. So at the end of Brahma's sleep, at the end of the day, I mean, when Brahma wants to go to sleep, in other words, he's tired, the Vedic literatures are emanating from his mouth. The Vedas are emanating from his mouth. At this time, Hayagriva, the demon Hayagriva, stole the Vedic literature. So that's started this pastime. So the Lord assumed the form of the fish, actually, and killed Hayagriva. But the interesting thing is here, it says that there are many other incarnations of the Lord, such as Hayagriva, that's an incarnation of God, Hari, Hamsa, Krishnagarbha, Vibhu, Sadyasena, Vaikuntha, Sarvabhauma, Vishvakshena, Dharmashetu, Sudama, Yogeshvara, Brihad Banu, and others of bygone ages. So it says, when the Lord appeared as Hayagriva with the head of a horse, he killed these two demons, Madhu and Kataiba, who are full of the modes of passionate ignorance. And then he delivered the Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma. So it says, Akrura, this is from Bhagavatam, Akrura continued, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Hayagriva incarnation who killed these two demons. So it talks about who the demons were and so forth and so on. And it says, amongst these demons who were resisting the armies of King Indra were Namuchi, Sambara, Anarva, Dvimurdha, Rishabha, Asura, Hayagriva, Sankursira, Viprachiti, Yomuka, Paloma, Vishvaparva, Praheti, Haiti, and Uttala. So there's lots of demons, guys, and they're everywhere, and they're always trying to bring down the demigods. And so here he goes on to say, it says, as there were two incarnations of Varaha, there were two incarnations of Varaha, there were also two incarnations of fish. The Lord has appeared as one fish incarnation to save the Vedas by killing Hayagriva, and he assumed the other fish incarnation to show favor to King Satyavrata. So obviously the one we're studying now is the one where he was incarnated to show favor to King Satyavrata. So at the end of Brahma's day, when Brahma felt sleepy, he desired to lay down. And the Vedas were emanating from his mouth, and this great demon, Hayagriva, stole the Vedic knowledge. So this is part of this pastime. And so it says that Satyavrata had performed austerities by subsisting on water only. So water only is a very great austerity. Now, I mean, they have people who subsist on air, you know, but this is a wonderful vrata that he performed. We can't even do it one day on Pandava Nirjala Ekadasi, which is water or no water for 24 hours. So we can imagine how hard it is to subsist just even on water. So when this king, who later became Sahadev, he was the sun god's son, he became Vishvamitra, Vishvavata.
Vaivasvata Manu.
Vaivasvata Muni. Thank you very much. Got tongue-tied there. Vaivasvata Muni, he actually became the sun god and became one of the Manus, rather. So when he was in his incarnation, Satyavrata, he went to the river to wash. And when he pulled his hands out, there was a little fish swimming in his palm. And so he took the small fish and put it back in the river. But the fish began to speak to him, and he understood the fish to say that there are many dangerous aquatics in this river. Please give me a more suitable, safe place. You're the king, I take shelter of you. So the king then took a jug, put the fish in the jug, took the fish home with him, and the fish complained that this jug is not at all adequate for me, and can you not make a better arrangement? So then what did he do? He took the fish next and put him in a well. The fish was not at all satisfied with the well and began to grow and said, this is an inadequate facility. You're the great king. Please give me some better facility. So he took him to the what? Next, he took him to a lake. He put him in the lake, and the fish grew so much that the lake was completely inadequate for him. And he says, can you not give me a larger reservoir of water? So he then took him to a gigantic reservoir of water, or another lake, and the fish expanded in that amount of size again, so that the king actually had to take him to the ocean. So this fish had grown in this period of time to an extraordinary size. And he was still complaining to the king by saying, please don't put me in this ocean. There are many dangerous sharks here, and I could easily be eaten, right? So he wanted some arrangement that the king apparently could not make for him at this point. So what did the king say? He said, who are you, sir? Exactly, who are you, sir? And how is it that this is happening? And one day you've grown like we've never seen this before. So I suspect that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, Narayana, in the form of a fish. So he then began to explain that all of your incarnations are for the welfare of everyone when you come. So what purpose is this fish incarnation for? So the Lord was enjoying his pastimes in the water of inundation, and he said that 7 days from now, all the three worlds will be inundated. Bur Bhuva Swa. The three worlds will be completely inundated, and you will see a boat appearing before you. You will see this boat. So he explained to him that he wanted him to take the 7 great rishis and collect herbs and species and seeds and so forth and fill the boat with these things when it arrived. So the only effulgence or illumination you will have, because everything will be completely dark, will be these 7 rishis, and they will illuminate the light. So that they will, the Lord himself will come and educate him on the Vedic literature. And he says that you will know perfectly well what is Parabrahma. You will know everything about me. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am knowledge, forgetfulness, and remembrance. So the Lord can come to you in a moment. I was just reading where Prabhupada was saying that it's very rare for someone to just become illuminated immediately. But it has happened. And Prabhupada cited one situation where this young girl had danced all night, sang the holy names to evoke the Lord, and she did achieve in a single night love of God and the ecstasy that ensues as a result of that spiritual and divine love. So Prabhupada talked about that, but normally it takes a while. So he's there and he's explaining all of this to the rishis and to Satyavrat. So he sat down and he, of course, meditated. He said he was facing northeast, which is an interesting thing. And then the water filled up, the clouds swelled, the ocean swelled, it flooded the whole world. Saw the boat. He boarded the boat with the Brahmins. And once they got on the boat and loaded the boat, the golden fish, Matsya, said, attach the rope of Varuna to my horn. And he asked him to do that, to anchor the boat to his horn. And together they would enjoy this period of time in this educational process, as well as this pastime of the Lord enjoying the water. So they accepted Matsya as their spiritual master. And they asked him to cut the knot of all false desires. Help us to give up all what you might call pious or impious, good karma or bad karma. And instead, let us attain our original identification. So this is what they wanted to know. What is my original identification? After all, you're the master of all masters. No other master could be even 1/10,000th the potency that you have. So ordinarily, what we're working with in the material world is the blind leading the blind, or rascals and fools, and they are educating their so-called disciples in economic development and sense gratification, and thereby they are trapping their disciples in the cycle of repeated birth and death. These are bogus gurus who give this information instead of giving eternal knowledge, like Matsya would do, as the best friend of everyone. So, and they cannot know you anyway with lusty desires. So they're saying, please cut the knot from the core of my heart and let me know the final destination of my life. What is the final destination of our lives? What is that meant for? So after asking the Lord this, the Lord explained Sankhya Yoga or Bhakti Yoga to understand what is spirit, what is matter. Vidya, avidya goes hand in hand together. And we understand what is not truth, what is the truth, what is matter, what is spirit, and we can understand the difference between reality and illusion, which is the purpose of the Srimad Bhagavatam anyway. So they, after all, were listening to the instructions from the eternal Vedic literature, which is transcendental and eternal, and literally is the body and the mind of the Lord, this Vedic literature. So at the end of this pastime, he did kill Hayagriva, and he returned the Vedas to Brahma when he woke up. And so we are advised that if we hear and narrate these stories, we become sinless, and we become qualified actually to return home back to Godhead. So that is the purpose of these Vedic literatures, is that we are purified enough to be in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, Namang duskritano mudha prapajante naradhama mayaya pritigyana asuram bhavam asrita. So if they're the miscreants who are grossly foolish, the lowest among men, the knowledge is stolen by illusion, they partake in the atheistic nature of demons, they never surrender to the Lord. So we see this happening over and over again. So therefore the Lord he's not forced to do it, but he creates a situation to deliver these souls by taking these various incarnations as avatars. He says in 3:27, Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha hankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of nature, thinks himself the doer, when in actuality is carried out by nature itself, which is an instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and is the Mahatattva. So it's actually being carried out like that. So these narrations lead us to a state of self-realization. They lead us to a state of understanding who is God, what is God, why does God come, who are we, what is our relationship with God, what are we supposed to be doing here, what is reality, what is illusion, what is truth, what is falsehood. And we can see it in all of these stories depicted right before our very eyes. And it's not hard to see when it's done in a story like this. So this story reminds me of the story that we read in the Bible about Noah, right? So these great stories and these have been passed down eternally. And you find them filtered down through all religious persuasion, literally, throughout all time. They may be a bit variant in their storyline, but the overall message is the same. There is a partial annihilation, and during that period of time, there's a boat, and there are saints on the boat, and the species are on the boat, and at the end of it all, at the end of the inundation, when Brahma wakes up, everything is restored again, gradually. So this story repeats itself, and we see it throughout all ancient history. If you study archaeology, you'll see that throughout various time periods, in all places in the world, even in the Aztec kingdom, in China, in India, in Persia, even in England, everywhere, all around the world, Africa, these great stories of the boat and the inundation are told. So this is the story that is probably got to be one of the most ancient stories of all in the Vedic literature, because this is the very first incarnation of the Lord. So we love this story, and what we want to do is be able to get these stories out to people so they can understand the potency, the prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his various messages that he is delivering to us in these stories of self-realization. So is there any questions or comments? We're at 7:55. I think we're gonna actually get it done for the first time before 8 o'clock. We've never done that before. So, but does anybody have anything they'd like to add to the story or illuminations or questions you may have? Please bring them at this time.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question regarding the inundation that happens at the end of Brahma's day. So he goes to sleep, and then when he wakes up, he starts creating again. But we see here in this story that the Lord actually, keeps the plants, and then the Manu also for the next Manvantara, he's being sustained throughout the inundation. And then, so Brahma has less work to do in that case, right? Like he doesn't have to create from scratch again.
That sounds about right, doesn't it? It does, because he's been told to take the seeds and the herbs and the species and the seven rishis. The main thing is to preserve the wisdom and the knowledge, and that's what they're doing. And then when Brahma wakes up, he does his role again, which is as creator. No problem. And all of this is being manifest in his mind. I saw something very interesting. I used to roommate with Richard L. Thompson, and Michael Cremo, and some of those guys were there. They're the scientists. Who was it? Swarup Damodar used to be there all the time, and so I would listen to these guys talk. And they were always trying to prove God either through mathematics or chemistry or science or something along those lines, archaeology, history, so forth. And they were the first ones talking about UFOs and aliens, and because this is all mentioned in the Vedas, that they're coming again and again. The demigods are coming, the avatars are coming. Not unusual for us, but for most people, it's pretty fantastic concept. So, but I remember they were talking about it, and there were many things that science had not yet discovered. And so they were limited with the technology. This would have been back in 78, 76, 75, like that. And so now they've got these big, gigantic telescopes that go out like, what's that one called? I've forgotten the name of it. They've got two big ones that are taking pictures of outer space, and it's blowing their mind. And they're also have new philosophy. Now they say that everything is living. Everything, including space. They say there's no vacuum in space. I just heard this presentation from the scientific community the other day, and they were talking about that these particles are there, and they're waiting for consciousness to come, and then they surround whatever the consciousness is, and they manifest materially before the consciousness. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that whatever that consciousness is becomes actually manifested. So this is what's happening with Lord Brahma. He's conceiving it and he's achieving it, and it's manifesting based on his prowess as that creator in the mode of passion. And so now they're proving that this can be done even with ordinary human beings. What to speak of Brahma? You see what I'm saying? So now we have more scientific proof that these things can and do and are happening, and we're beginning to grasp a little bit more about the science that goes with this. Because a lot of people may think, "Oh my God, Matsya is 8 million miles long. How can this possibly be?" Well, when you look from here just to Rahu, right? Just look at that. I mean, you're talking about 250,000 miles right there. So there was a depiction shown of our little Milky Way. And there are there are galaxies that are literally tens of thousands of times larger than our galaxy that would just swallow our galaxy. We wouldn't even be a particle in that galaxy. So for us to understand what this space is that we're in with our eyes, and with our fallible senses is not a possibility. So therefore, we have to hear it through the Sampradaya. Prachanaya Saranam, Vinashaya Chadushkata. Krishna's coming again and again to give it to us, and he's preserving the sadhus, just like he did here with the boat with Satyavrat. He kept the rishis and the sadhus protected so that the information, the Vedic information, could be not stolen, but then once again reenacted. So I find that very, very interesting. I don't know about you guys, but it turns me on when I hear science kind of prove what we're reading here in the Vedas that most people would think is pretty phenomenal. I mean, we don't see people raising people from the dead every day. This happened a couple of thousand years ago with Jesus Christ and his disciples, actually. Even his disciples were empowered to raise the dead according to the biblical story, right? So we see that that's possible even in our history, immediate history, which I would call 2,000 years ago, more or less an immediate history. If you take into consideration the eternal history, eternal time, eternal kala, that these pastimes are going on and on and on. So, and we've read who some of these incarnations were, and what they were. And so it said at the end of the last inundation during the period of Swayambhuva Manu, Supreme Personality of Godhead, killed a demon named Hayagriva and delivered all the Vedic literatures to Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma awakened from sleeping. So this is how this happens. And Brahma lives for 100 years, just like you live for 100 years, right? But it's on a different time scale. I think his 100 years is what, 3.11 trillion years, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So try to understand that this is extraordinary information that we're receiving that you could never get scientifically, really. You have to accept this through an unbroken chain of thoroughly honest spiritual masters who do not change the philosophy. Prabhupada says, do not change. That is what makes spiritual master, what makes guru, is that he does not change. He doesn't alter the philosophy. Time, place, and circumstance, it can be applied. And we may have our own realizations of the philosophy in different ways in our lives in various situations and circumstances of our life. But we don't change the philosophy for anyone. We're not running a popularity contest. We're not looking for mundane friendship, fame, profit, adoration, or distinction within the material world. We want to go home, back to Godhead. It said that they wanted the Lord to cut the knot in the core of their heart and let them know the destination of their lives. That's what every man should want to know. Every woman, every creature has to find that out ultimately to achieve their original identification. This identification that we have with the material body is false. This is not our body. This body belongs to the earth. And you'll see that everything you love here becomes soil. It becomes the earth you're walking on. So these bodies, they're going to abandon us at the time of death. They'll betray you. Especially it's bad when somebody is very young. Prabhupada was talking to one of his disciples one time in a letter that I read, and he said, so Krishna has determined to take you home earlier in life. So now you have your signal, you have your message from God. It is time for you to begin your preparation in earnest. And that's what he told his disciple. He said, and soon you'll be with Krishna, soon you will see Krishna. What's wrong with that idea, guys? So we want to work on that every day, a little at a time, by chanting Hare Krishna a little bit every day. You should chant, right? Chant as much as you can. Chant all day, pray unceasingly. Hallowed be thy name. Look at this. Oh, we got a chart.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I found this chart that shows us the time period of one day of Brahma. It shows that like our Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, and twice that is Dwapara Yuga, and thrice Kali Yuga is Treta Yuga, and 4 times Kali Yuga is Satya Yuga. So you add 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, that's 10. So 10 times 432,000 is one Chatur Yuga or one Divya Yuga. So 71 such Divya Yugas makes one Manvantara, and then 14 such Manvantaras makes one day of Brahma, which, like you were saying, it's 4,320,000,000 years, our years. And then you got to multiply that by 360 because it's just one day, and then by 100 years because he lives for 100 his years. So so that's some trillion years, like you were saying. Yeah.
How can they have known this thousands of years ago? As a matter of fact, the more they look at the Vedic culture, the more they're blown away. They don't know how it's possible. They couldn't do it with all of their instruments today. They couldn't build a Kailash temple, for an example, which they removed millions of tons of stone, and they can't even find the stone. Where did it go? And it was built out of a solid rock, built from the top down. How is this possible? There are stones that float, that aren't even really attached. They're columns that you can turn. And they're holding up these gigantic temples. These temples are magnificent works of art portraying the pastimes of the Lord and the demigods. And they hold up each level of the building all the way up to the top of a skyscraper. What? How is this all possible? No one can explain. Okay. So, yes, these advanced civilizations and technologies are there, and they're beyond the demoniac machine made technologies. There's one government report that says that these things are actually organic materials. In other words, they're not machines, really. They're made out of stuff like you're made out of. They're living organisms. So who knows? I mean, we can't understand all these things. So what do? We turn to Krishna. We turn to the Lord. We turn to these incarnations. We offer our obeisances, and we ask the Lord for one prayer, just like the same prayer that Prahlad offered. He said, just please remove all these material desires from my heart. Because the material desires that you have will guarantee a new birth in the material world for yourself. You're creating your next body right now. And so we're doing a pretty good job of it right now. We're trying to get back to our Swarup city, our original identification, right? We want to find out our final true destination. What is that? Some people think it's, well, if I could finally become president of the United States, then it's nonsense. That's not your final destination. That might be taking the karma of a whole nation on your shoulders. That's pretty rough stuff, guys, when you think about it. Unless you can deliver them, it says one should never become a guru, a father, a teacher, right? You shouldn't ever take these roles unless you can deliver your student back home, back to Godhead. And so these people are not qualified. So therefore they fall under, at best, bogus gurus. At best. Because all they have to offer is more birth, death, old age, and disease. Just what you needed, right? Right? A little more suffering in the material world. So ultimately, what it comes down to, guys, is we get sick of all of this. We realize that there is no end to this nonsense, and that the illusion will perpetuate eternally if we decide for it to. And we can take any form we want. We can try all these things, and we'll be our goals will be dashed ultimately until we turn to the Lord. So in utter frustration, we turn to the Lord. or in knowledge we turn to the Lord, or in curiosity we turn to the Lord. But we should turn to the Lord in every case. Krishna says, no matter what you want, whether it's all material things or no material things, you should come to me for it. So, and in this chapter, it talks about the demigods, and it says the demigods are in the bodily concept of life. That's what it said in this chapter, that they are in the concept of the material life. And that's why we see so many wars going on in the heavenly planets with the demons and so forth and so on. There's always somebody trying to kick somebody off the top of the hill here. And even the King of Heaven himself sometimes falls prey to lust, right? Or whatever it may be. And we see the results of that are that the Lord has to come again and again and reawaken us and go, hey, this ain't it. Sankhya means not this, not this, not this, not this. Oh, here's the soul. Oh, here's spiritual life. So you have to find the soul. You have to find the spirit. And that is the purpose of Bhakti Yoga, to connect the individual soul with the Supreme Soul in a state of unalloyed devotional service. So any other point or question? That was wonderful, Vamsi. Thank you for that. I'm glad you found that, because that's pretty amazing. I mean, when you think about that chart, shows that time is relative, really.
Yeah.
Somebody said the other night, you see that light in the sky? I said, yeah. They said that took several billion years to get here. How did that feel to you? So you don't realize these things. It took billions of years for that light to come. It may not even exist anymore. That planet or that star may be gone.
Yeah, and also in Bhagavatam, everything is a person. Mother Earth, we say Bhumi as Mother Earth. And now the scientists are finding that Earth itself altogether is sentient. When something happens, something else happens. So it's like there's a consciousness, and it is able to sustain and change itself. And there is a character it's seeing. And there is a whole theory about it, and there are many scientists who believe in that. So it's already said in the Bhagavatam that
Well, Mother Earth, she becomes a cow and attends Lord Brahma. They go to the edge of the milk ocean and they do the Purusha Sukta, and the Lord then reveals in the heart and mind of Brahma, and everybody makes arrangements for his appearance. So when Mother Earth gets a little bit distressed from us exploiting her, you see what I'm saying? And so just think about it. How would you like to have somebody on your body, drilling on your body at every moment, cutting out portions of your body, dismantling your body, your limbs, sucking out all of your blood and your fluids, and so forth and so on, without any concept of any type of sustainable activity, simply for profiteering, excessive, obsessive profiteering? Because once you've got, just like Vamana said, if I can't be satisfied with 3 steps, I wouldn't be satisfied with everything. He said, I just want to take what I need. He took it, and he needed to take everything from Bali, and he did. So this stuff it's just so wonderful that when we hear these stories over and over and over again, they finally begin to resonate in our hearts. And at some point, the light comes on when you're least expecting it, and you get a little taste of this, and it becomes quite blissful, and it becomes quite addictive. And so what happens is we're sentient beings. We're out looking for pleasure. Come on, admit it. Admit it. It's what it is, because we're fashioned after Krishna, the source of all pleasure. So therefore, we want that pleasure, but when we go to the material world to get it, it's like going to a mirage in the desert. When you get there, it looks beautiful. It looks like water in the distance. You can't wait to quench your thirst. You dive into it, and all you end up with is a mouthful of sand. So that's our condition in the material world. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter what kind of wealth you have or position you have. or fame that you may have, everything will be lost with the body. Everything. You can't take it with you. That's why Bali was interested only in his reputation. He knew the only way he could live forever is through his reputation. And so his reputation was tied to Vamana. So now his reputation is eternal. So there you go. Any other points?
I think Ram Raghava Prabhu has something.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry about that. I didn't see your hand.
You're muted, Prabhuji. You're still muted. I can't hear you.
You can't hear? Unmute if you can. It should be down on the bottom left of your screen.
He has multiple.
Oh, he does. Okay. All right. Well, Ram Raghava's got his hand up. If you want to ask, if you've got something you want to add, then we can come back as soon as he figures it out.
Yes.
What do you got?
And one more thing is a point I wanted to discuss with you is about the different avatars like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. So it is like it's just as the scientists say about the evolution, and it starts from the aquatics, the amphibians, and then the terrestrial animals. And we see the Lord himself has come as the fish incarnation, then the kurma, which is a tortoise, which is an amphibian, and then as a boar incarnation, that's a terrestrial animal incarnation. So, I think Prabhupada has said that this the scientists like Darwin took what is in the Bhagavatam and kind of made it his own and said that that's how the species evolved. So,
well, yeah. Well, they're trying to explain it from perfect senses, and their telescopes and their microscopes are extensions of imperfect senses. In the very beginning, the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, that's all cleared up by Srila Prabhupada. He says you can't trust people. There's no way to trust them because they have a propensity to cheat, right? They want to take a shortcut because life is very difficult, very complex. They want to take a shortcut. And they have a propensity to cheat anyway. And their senses are imperfect. So there's no way to get any knowledge from anybody through this ascending process. You have to let it descend upon you through that disciplic succession. And that's how we have this information. And it's been proven. Just like they said thousands of years ago, the stool and urine of a cow is antiseptic. There was no way to test that necessarily. Nowadays, it's a proven fact that those items are antiseptic. No other creature has antiseptic stool and urine. So the cow is holy, truly holy, because it's the mother of the world. And everybody is raised on the milk. We don't slaughter the mother just when she quits giving milk. What kind of children would we be? See what I mean? So, and all of these things like, bone is considered contaminated, but when we talk about the conch shell and Krishna blowing the conch shell and all that, these things are not contaminated, right? So there are things that we have to learn from the Vedas to understand truth from illusion. And that's all part of it, but that's a very good point. Any other point anybody wants to make? We're at 8:18 now. Look, we went past. I was trying.
Can you hear me now?
yes.
I hear you perfect.
Okay, great. So I had a few comments and then I had 3 questions, but you answered one of those questions when you talked about Vasuki being 8 million miles long. So that was a perfect explanation. And before I make the comments, I appreciate the chart that Vangshi Prabhu had. Parts of it were too small for me to read, but it doesn't mention each Manu from in each Manvantara on the top of the chart.
It looked like it did.
Oh, it just says that it is currently we are in the 28th Dwapara, 7th Manvantara and 28th Dwapara Yuga is when Krishna appears and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in the same Yuga.
Okay, because when I was reading, I tried to summarize and I found So Lord Matsya, the fish incarnation, appeared twice. Once was in Swayambhuva Manu's time, and then he appeared again during the Chakshusha Manu. And the Chakshusha Manu is when he helped Satyavrata Maharaj.
I got you.
So one comment I was going to make was these classes are really helpful to me. I appreciate Gayatri Prabhu and all the devotees who attend, because it really helps me focus. And I would recommend this to everybody also, for those who are listening and also those who are going to listen to this recording later. When you get the notice of what the topic is going to be or which chapter is covered, you can read that chapter ahead of time. And I've been so excited. I've taken notes, and it helps me focus. So I get a lot more out of it when I've read it once before, and then I hear it again, and then I hear all the comments from the different devotees. And of course, Gayatri Prabhu goes into detail. So that's really helpful.
Yep.
I was also going to mention about Noah and the ark. And also, there's I've noticed that there's personalities in these pastimes that have appeared in more than one pastime. Just like last time we had mentioned. This time, so Hayagriva is an incarnation, but also a demon. And the serpent Vasuki has appeared more than once, because I believe he was the one that was being used as the churning.
He's been there several times, yeah.
Yeah. There's one concept called in verse 15, Srila Prabhupada mentions Agyata Sukriti. So that's service without knowledge. So when people do service for devotees, even without knowing who they are, or service for the Lord, just like when Prabhupada was in New York, one time a bum walked off the street, just went all the way to the back, put some toilet paper and tissue paper in the bathroom, and just walked out. And that's all he did. And I'm sure he didn't know exactly who that personality was, or maybe he was a personality who was sent by the Lord. But and I recommend everybody to read the purports also, and you can get a lot more. And when you see a topic that you remember seeing somewhere else, you can cross-reference that topic and learn thoroughly about that topic. So what else? Yes, so you already answered the question about Vasuki. The two questions I had were, in text 53, it mentions the knot to be cut, and you mentioned it, but what exactly is that knot that needs to be cut that Satyavrata was praying to the Lord for? And two, is Satyavrata the same Satyavrata Muni who composed the prayers to Lord Damodar? So those are my two questions.
Wow. Now, the last question I didn't understand. Say that again.
The last question was, is Satyavrata Maharaj the same Satyavrata who composed the prayers to Lord Damodar?
Now, I don't have an answer for that one. I can tell you that now. We'd have to find that out.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't have an answer to that. But as far as the knot in the heart, Prabhupada has addressed that on like so many innumerable occasions, But if you look at the labyrinth, the tree, there's a plate in the Bhagavad Gita that shows this tree, right? And it shows that we're hung up in all of the branches and we're tied up in knots in the vines of this tree, right? Right? In the Bhagavad Gita, it discusses that. And if we look at what those hard knots of the heart are, they start off with lust, the all-devouring enemy of man, Krishna says. Lust. It is lust only, Arjuna. So lust, greed, envy, animosity, jealousy, covetousness. I mean, we can talk about all these anartas, ahankaras in our hearts, and we can find out what they are. And then we have to address them individually in our lives. Krishna says wherever the mind wanders, you have to bring it back under the control of the self, just like a tortoise withdraws his senses within a shell. So what happens is when we see a warning sign, the voice of conscience inside your own heart tells you, hey, you better watch out. If we just simply listen to that voice of the super soul, it will warn us against danger. It will let us know, hey, don't go there. Don't, this is too dangerous. You feel that fear coming over you. That fight or flight sensation is the mercy of God to save you from entering into this labyrinth of the material world. So what do we cut the hard knot with? What is the sword of knowledge? The sword of knowledge is all the words that come out of the mouth of God in all the scriptures throughout all the world, including God's messengers, his children, his friends, his wife, Radharani, his girlfriend. They all give us knowledge about how to cut this knot out of the heart. And one thing Prabhupada said was, there's no way that you can cut the knot without engaging yourself in full service to the Lord. Once you're fully surrendered to the Lord, that means you're always engaged in the Lord's service. There's no room for Maya. Even in the words of Christ, where he says, my cup runneth over. In other words, fill it up so much that it runs over. You can't put another drop in it. Otherwise, you will fall down and you will be subjected to the urges of the material world, of the senses. You will be. Because that's the nature that we've lived in for millions of births. And that's the easy default mechanism, is just to go back what has worked before to comfort us. Some people use alcohol, some use drugs, some use sex, some use money, some use power, some use whatever it may be. Those are the crutches that we've been leaning on, and they never cure the problem. They actually just, we become incriminated by the activities, and we become even more entangled in this labyrinth, or this hard knot in the core of our heart, which is truly envy of God, because we came here looking to be God. We came here to kill God. We don't want God here. No God. Now they're very expert. They're throwing God out at the school. They don't have God in the school anymore. Just your basic stuff. They don't want God.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. That answers the question. Thank you very much. One other last comment I wanted to make was, I forgot to make this comment earlier, was that Srila Prabhupada in the purports mentions, as far as personalities go, this Satyavrata Maharaj in the next Manvantara became Vaivasvata Manu.
Right.
And Srila Prabhupada mentions that he's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's in the 4th chapter, the 1st verse, where Krishna says, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Krishna says, Imam Vivasvate Yogam Praktavan Aham Avayam Manur Ikshvakavya Bravit, ending in Manur Ikshvakavya Bravit, that the science was taught to the sun god taught it to Manu. And so that Manu that the sun god taught it to is this Satyavrata Manu. Satyavrata Maharaj, who became Vaivasvata Manu in the next Manvantara.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, we see these names over and over again. I mean, once you look at them a few times, you see them over. Even the demons you see over and over again. Namuchi, Sambara, Viprachiti. These are names we've already heard several times. Hayagriva. Look at some of these names. Megadundubi. These are great demons. You can read about these demons and understand what they've done. And then you can also read about the Vaibhava Prakasha forms like Kurma, Matsya, Naranarayan, Varaha, Harigriva, Krishna Garba, Baladev, Yagya, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikunta, Ajita. We just had Ajita in the last chapter. He was involved in the ropes of Varuna with the churning of the ocean. Ajita manifested at that time. We got Vamana. He arrested Bali with the ropes of Varuna. And Sarvabhauma, Rishab. When we think about all Yogeshvara, when we think about all these great personalities, that's what this is about. Great histories, great personalities. And we can learn so much from their lives. But to end it, we got to admit that without sacrifice, we ain't going anywhere. So sacrifice is the thing. Krishna says in 3:9, Yadyartat karma nonyatra loko yam karma bandhana. Tadartam karma kontaya mukta sangha sumatra. So work done as your sacrifice to Vishnu, it has to be done. It's not a question of, well, we might do it or we might not. So we even see that the demons were engaged in these sacrifices. Certainly the demigods are, and all the devotees are. So you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, whatever it might be, but you're not really the fruits of your action are not yours. They're provided by God. All of this is provided by God. So you offer it back to the Lord in sacrifice. And by doing that, you remain unattached and free from bondage. So that's the answer to the hard knot in the heart. Remain unattached and free from bondage. And control the mind with the intelligence. The intelligence learns from the spiritual master, engages the mind accordingly in various austerity. And the biggest austerities are offer all your food, call on the name of God, find a way to serve the Lord in all that you do every day, and give the results of your activities to the Lord in sacrifice. That's the whole idea behind this process. So next week, I think we're going to start, we'll look at it, but I think we're going to start with Ramchandra, his story. So please, everybody be here and be ready to read. And some of you, we've already lost a few. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and bid adieu for the evening. We did go long, but you guys had great questions and good points, and I really appreciate it. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, is it okay if we stop, or do we need to play the credits?
We can stop now.
Okay, we'll go ahead and stop now, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great week, okay?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.